Okay, so this is me revising the novel. I've read it through once, I've got the gist of it. So what we're doing here is we are practicing our reading skills because we need them for the unseen, but I also want to have a really good set of notes on these two novels that I need to know for my exam. And it's just two novels. That's it. In the entire year, 2 years, it's just two novels I have to read for the exam, minimum. I mean, obviously, I'm aiming for an A star, so I want to read more dystopian. So, okay, so it's January 26. I'm doing 1984, Part 1, Chapter 7. And this is where I start to make my longer notes. Now, I could just print off some scene summaries. And one of the things that I'd want to definitely have at the beginning of my book here is a little summary. Part 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So do this with me, 7, 8. So that I've got that little indicator of what's in each chapter, a couple of just bullet points there, right? So that as I'm navigating my way through my book, which so far doesn't have any annotations in at all, I can find things more easily. It should look like a bit of an archaeological dig by the end of your time in this subject. So what am I going to do first? If there is hope or Winston, it lies in the proles. Okay, so this is the chapter where I learn more about the proles. So we haven't learnt much about them so far. If there is hope, wrote Winston, it lies in the proles. If there was hope, it must lie in the proles, because only there, in those swarming, interesting word, disregarded masses, 85%, what, of the population of Oceania could the force to destroy the party ever be generated. 85% of the population are proles. Are you kidding me? But he's just used that word swarming. It's an interesting word. It's not a very nice one. Okay. The party could not be overthrown from within. Its enemies, if it had any enemies, had no way of coming together, or even of identifying one another. Even if the legendary brotherhood existed. Right, brotherhood. As just possibly it might, it was inconceivable that its members could ever assemble in larger numbers than 2s and 3s. Okay, AO3, Germany, post-World War I. Because I know something about that and about how people were allowed to congregate. Rebellion meant a look in the eyes, an inflection of the voice, at the most an occasional whispered word. But the proles, if only they could somehow become conscious of their own strength, would have no need to conspire. They'd have no need to conspire because they're free to talk to each other. They needed only to rise up and shake themselves like a horse shaking off flies. Right, okay, again. Interesting. Surely, sooner or later, it must occur to them to do it. And yet, right, so what's going to go on here? He remembered how once he'd been walking down a crowded street when a tremendous shout of hundreds of voices, women's voices, had burst from a side street a little way ahead. It was a great, formidable cry of anger and despair, a deep, loud, I can't do an oh, that went humming on like the reverberation of a bell. His heart had leapt. It started, he had thought, A riot. The proles were breaking loose at last. When he had reached the spot, it was to see a mob. Right, okay. Of 200 or 300 women crowding round the stalls of a street market with faces as tragic as though they had been the doomed passengers on a sinking ship. Oh, God. He really doesn't like the proles, does he? But at this moment, the general despair broke down into a multitude of individual quarrels. It appeared that one of the stalls had been selling tin saucepans. They were wretched, flimsy things, but cooking pots of any kind were always difficult to get. So, another example of like the general deprivation. Now the supply had unexpectedly given out. The successful women, bumped and jostled by the rest, were trying to make off with their saucepans, while dozens of others clamoured round the stall, accusing the stall-keeper of favouritism and of having more saucepans somewhere in reserve. There was a fresh outburst of yells. Okay, so... two bloated... Oh, God. Two bloated women, one of them with her hair coming down, had got hold of the same saucepan and were trying to tear it out of one another's hands. For a moment they were both tugging, and then the handle came off. Winston watched them disgustedly. One of the reasons that I write quotations out is because it helps me remember them. There's no AO2 for this exam at all, but I still need to use quotations. So I'm starting to have a little bit of a think now. What almost frightening power had sounded in that cry from only a few hundred throats? Why was it that they could never shout like that about anything that mattered? Okay. I mean, why should they? Winston watched them disgustedly. So I'm starting to think of my AO5, my Waddell, that he's, you know, that idea, is he a spanner in the works or a perfectly formed member of the party? And it seems to me that this is more evidence that it's this one. Do a little arrow there. Because look how he describes them. Like animals swarming, shaking off flies. Like a mob, they're tragic, they're bloated. And yet he's wanting them to rise up, wanting them to riot. He wrote, "Until they become conscious, they will never rebel, and until after they have rebelled, they cannot become conscious." So what does that word conscious mean in this setting, in this chapter? So, conscious. Aware, educated. They need to kind of care. And why are they not? Because of propaganda? Because they're not educated? Because they're distracted with the lottery and wallop? Okay. So that's as far as I'm going to go. That's 10 minutes. And obviously that's longer than it would normally take because I'm speaking out loud what I'm doing. But I hope that what you can see there is that this isn't difficult. it's just time consuming. But this is what makes you more confident in every lesson and in all of your writing. Okay? So I did it with my other class. And I'd written some other things. Oh, look, questions, brotherhood, does it exist? Did it with another class. Started to write some other things. And I'd moved on a little bit further with that lesson as well. But that's what your chapter notes should look like. And if you don't have any notes at all, it's hard to remember what happens in a book, right? I know that one of the things I want to do is mark off where every chapter starts. That might not work because it's a fountain pen. So, ooh. This is fun to watch, isn't it? This is really fun. There we go. Oh, in fact, I put it there, actually, so that when I'm flicking through, I can see that's chapter 7. I'd probably do all my chapters for part 1 in orange.